RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 YouTube talk show. We are live for a Wednesday live stream. Excited to be back. Looking forward to connecting and finding out what's on your radar. Feel free, as always, to let me know where you're watching from via the chat. And then when the phone lines open up, I would love to hear from you directly. 313-462-0027 is the number that you can call and let your voice be heard. All right, let's dive in. Lots of things worth touching on. Curious to get your thoughts on the video done that I did earlier in reference to the ongoing escalation of the currency war with the inclusion, possibly, of the digital asset space, basically going past the idea of an investment and being referred to as currency by Russia, and what that might mean for the powers that be on this side of the water. But anyway, hope everyone's doing well. As always, let me know what's on your mind. Feel free to reach out to me. Let's talk some more. And also, if you guys have articles or any news worth touching on, send it to me at rtdnews@protonmail.com. And that will allow me to be able to pull it on screen and make sure everybody can get a chance to take a look at it as we talk about it. So rtdnews@protonmail.com. Shoot me some news anytime throughout the day or night. And definitely, I can share my 2 cents on it and also bring it to the community. So anyway, let's keep it on moving. Let me check in via chat real quick, and then we'll jump right in. We got James. We got Mike. We got low blood pressure checking in. Jojo. We got Tricky Dicky checking in from the UK. We got Swim Master Mike, North Carolina. We got Chase checking in. Says, how much weight you got? Not enough. Very true. That's like saying how much, how much, how big is your checking account, your savings account? Everybody always got room for more. It's just more so a matter of, and I was, of course, listening to a good little word earlier, not too long ago. It's talking about, your treasures of your heart, not having the treasures, not having this worldly possession of things being the treasure that has your heart. And so money is meant to be a tool, not the sole means or the ideal focus for our lives. And of course, you guys know that. All right, we got Daryl checking in. We got Mike checking in. We got Cool Ian. It says, you Bitcoin maxis need to answer this. The U.S. government has one of the biggest crypto wallets. Now what? Cool Ian. So that's a interesting way to put it. And so let's be patient, wait and see what the federal government does with that stash that they supposedly recovered from 2 cyber criminals. Yeah, none of that adds up. But yeah, so we'll see, because as of right now, those coins belong to Bitfinex. And so we'll see if Bitfinex actually made whole the depositors of which those coins originally belonged to back in 2016, 6 years ago. So if Bitfinex made whole those depositors, which I would assume they probably haven't, let me know if you guys know of anybody directly that was involved in that Bitfinex hack back then. I'm curious to find out, if them people were made whole back then when it occurred, or are they expecting to be made whole with the returning of their Bitcoins to them? And if that doesn't happen, then that right there will let me know that all this news came to the surface as a result of the U.S. anticipating some type of strategic move that just took place or possibly going to take place this month from Russia, with them basically turning the ante up a little bit with the classification of this technology as a currency that it ultimately just provides more competition with the Federal Reserve note and the Federal Reserve system and the U.S. debt instruments. And I think that's a great thing. I'm more than supportive of that, because once again, I think it's best served if people have options rather than being forced to use solely their sovereign country's currency, which is ultimately used against us and especially being used right now as a weapon. So anyway, I get to more of that. We got Calderon checking in from a vacation in Mexico. We got Chef Larissa checking in. Appreciate you. We got Mike Bruce, Tony B checking in. Free Thinker, Swim Mastermind. We got Tony B. What else? Crypto Elf checking in as well. Luna and Silver. Okay. All right. So let me just jump to a couple articles real quick, share my 2 cents, but I'm curious to get your thoughts on the recent announcement that came out last night. And I'd imagine, I haven't had a chance to check, but I'd imagine all the crypto sphere is probably diving into that and saying that it's ultimately pretty bullish for the crypto space. And ultimately, I think it is as well. It's just a matter as to whether or not it's a ploy that Russia is using to basically put the U.S. on their heels when it comes to this Biden executive order coming up, or do they really plan on utilizing it and giving their own citizens options? Because once again, that takes away the necessity for Russia to come out with their own Russian ruble CBDC. So if you got a free-flowing economy that allows 17,000 different cryptocurrencies be considered currency within your country, that's too much competition in this current environment where everything is heading towards a centrally controlled central bank digital currency. So we'll see how that plays out. But, once again, competition is always good. It's just not good for the banksters. It's trying to keep us enslaved. But let's jump into some stories that I think is worth touching on. And this, we're going to touch on the digital side of things today, because I think this article does a good job of highlighting some concerns that we should all have, well beyond cryptocurrencies. Whether you like them or not, it don't matter, because what they're trying to usher us into, I would assume, most people would probably prefer having the illusion of decentralized currencies that can on their own possession, rather than have a CBDC issued to them from the Federal Reserve by mandate or by law. So that's just me. But anyway, here's something worthwhile. IRS suggests the need to disclose crypto exchange information to law enforcement. And so this goes into the recent crackdown of all the politicians that are paid for operatives of the deep state, aka shadow government, and their desire to crack down on any type of illusion of choice of how you can handle your financial future. But it says here, a letter that tax bureau sent to a key senator says stronger penalties for failure to report cryptocurrency-based income gains might also help deter cyber criminals. So this plays into more of the infrastructure bill, which was passed. It had those key stipulations saying that the IRS needs more control. And I think it was $80 billion or so, if I'm not mistaken, that was intended to go towards helping the IRS hire more, as well as utilize their own digital forensic software to help track, trace, and monitor all open source platforms. So this plays right into that. But let me just read a little further real quick, and then we'll jump onto something else. In the meantime, feel free to throw out some thoughts or comments in the chat, and we'll definitely jump on that. But I'll just jump right to the nitty-gritty here. It says the IRS generally may not share information it collects with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network or other law enforcement agencies like the FBI, currently receiving reports regarding incomes in excess of $10,000, the Bureau said in a recent letter to Senator Maggie Hassan. It says if the other agencies can't receive digital asset transaction information, it will significantly degrade the utility of the information they do collect. So this is their plea to say, hey, if we don't get all the information, we won't be able to do our job, type of thing. And so it goes on and on and on. But yet you get the idea. The goal is for you to always be tracked and traced, and for Uncle Sam to always have his hands in your pocket. You know how they want to do this. All right, the next one here. This is the article I mentioned yesterday, but I think it's important because I wouldn't be opposed to seeing something like this put forth. But it says digital currency transactions, Bitcoin, Ether, and others under $200 exempt from capital gains tax. So this is another little type of legislation that's put out there, floating around right now. I think the Republican side of the aisle might favor this more over the Democratic or far left liberal side of things, just because we all know their agenda. They're, outright in front of our face talking about building back better. And even today, it looks like Joe Biden willing to dial back on some of that. And of course, he can't remove the key components of it, because that would definitely piss off Professor Klaus Schwab. And we know that the Biden administration, as well as Trudeau, they've all pledged their allegiance to the World Economic Forum over the American people, as well as the Canadian people as well. But anyway, just something worthwhile. I think this right here would definitely be a bonus for those that dip and dab into space. But this one here is the most important one. I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on it. Russia expected to regulate crypto like foreign currencies. What do you guys think about this? Is this just a bunch of hot air coming out of the Kremlin, or is the Kremlin deliberately doing this to try to piss off the West so that they can ultimately derail some of that military war conflict that they're trying to start over in that region, or what? You guys let me know. Curious to hear what you guys think about this. But some things I want to cover that I didn't touch on in a video is that Here are some things that should also make or also allow us in the Western world to really not criticize, but to be concerned with the key forensic and auditing firms that our government has funded, because it says Russia will not allow their banks or the exchanges in their country to utilize companies such as Chain Analysis or Elliptic, which are both, government funded, taxpayer funded spy mechanisms, surveillance companies that utilize their AI and all that other stuff to basically track and trace and monitor every transaction that takes place upon U.S. citizens as well as the world. And so what Russia wants to do is to use their own software, and it's called transparent blockchain, which basically will allow them to identify owners of cryptocurrency wallets, and is capable of collecting information from the dark net, identifying patterns of illegal use, what's illegal, whatever they say it is, of that digital assets. So they don't want to use the deep state's version of forensic analysis software. They want to use their own. So that lets me know if they want to use their own and it's already created, then that lets me know that this is already a part of their initial plan from the jump, which means that once again, this could be more of the narrative of, Russia, China playing good guy, bad guy, but they're all working towards the same end, which is to make sure that they control the decentralized space altogether under the illusion of giving people choice. You guys let me know what you think. All right, next one here. Here is something else that iPhone people might like. Upcoming Apple iPhone feature to give merchants a way to accept crypto payments. So it looks like for all the people out there who have iPhones, you'll be able to probably tap and pay and spend your crypto, and of course, incur a taxable event as well when you do that at the current moment. But, a lot of people might be excited about that for whatever it's worth. Yeah, okay, sure. All right, on to what's happening in the real world. More talks about CBDC. And so even IMF is coming out now saying no one size fits all model for central bank digital currencies, the IMF head says. So ultimately what this boils down to is, if we the people had choice in what we were able to use, and businesses had options to be able to receive whatever they want to without concerns of all the governmental regulations and stuff like that, we wouldn't need CBDCs, stablecoins, or SDRs, or for the most part, fiat currencies as they're being destroyed. If people were given choice to choose whatever they wanted to use and let the free market actually determine what it what works best for it, then we wouldn't be in all this mess. And that's why I'm hoping all this disarray in the monetary realm actually allows for the free market and the people's choice to rise to the top. And of course, with that, we know what would be ideal for somehow, some way to be able to use this as a way of transferring back and forth in peer-to-peer type of transactions. And so that's why I would be for, even though I'm not, it does not really in favor of it, I would be for it to start, just to disrupt the current banking cabal situation in our monetary system. But having digital tokens backed by metal that is redeemable upon demand. If we had more of those as an option, I definitely would support that rather than have CBDC surveillance coins, in my opinion. But curious to hear what you guys think. But interesting article here just talks about how, as of right now, roughly 100 countries are now looking into CBDCs. And so far, 6 or so are leading the way. And of course, right now, with the Olympic Games taking place, the digital yuan is definitely being used heavily. And I think I even heard that all foreigners coming into the country, in order to transact and do things over there, you had to download a wallet. And even we had politicians here talking about, you want to, use a spare phone. Don't use your main phone because they're going to be tracking and tracing you. And common sense lets you know that isn't that the same thing that, the Fed coin or EUSD would be? They would be the same thing. If it's programmable by a central control entity on their ledger, then that itself makes it a surveillance coin. But that's just my 2 cents. And then on another note, here's something to show you the dangers of central banks in general looking to tighten at the same time that the ship's unraveling. So it says Brazil's rate hike campaign chokes the economy in warning to the Fed. And so Brazil has had economic issues for quite some time now, and they've actually managed to pull off a large amount of interest rate hikes, which is back up near where it usually has been. As we see here, the average over the last, what looks like 20 plus years, their interest rates, or the interbank rates that they do there in that country, has always been closer to double digits. And so it got down to maybe 1% at the beginning of the pandemic. But now, over the last 2 years or so, they've raked this thing up to 10.75. And this article here basically says that families are choking on debt, earmarking more than half of their monthly budgets to meet the rising payments. Says the boom in IPOs, a key source of funding for growing industries, has grown to a halt as investors funnel cash into suddenly attractive government bonds, and the economy has slipped back into a recession less than a year after emerging from the pandemic collapse. And so rising rates sinks ships. It tightens the monetary conditions, basically putting more of a pinch on the borrower. And so to really show you how crazy that is, let's just look at the current, let me show this on the screen real quick. This is the current situation of the global bond market. And so as of right now, this is from Lisa Abramowski over whatever. It says the pool of negative yielding bonds has plunged by about 2/3 since late December, from 14.1 trillion to 4.5 trillion as of yesterday. So what that means is, by those negative yielding bonds, which favor borrowing for the government, is now turning negative for the government, because that further increases their borrowing costs as these bonds go back into the positive. And it favors the average Joe, even though they're still negative because of inflation. But it makes Uncle Sam's, as well as all those other countries, budget that much tighter, because the interest now continues to go up as these bonds go down, or turn positive rather, which puts the governments in very even tighter positions. So yeah, but this is a global phenomenon happening here. But anyway, enough of me ranting. Let's talk. Let's open the phone lines and hear from you guys directly. What else is happening out there? I know there's all types of other stories, but I think keeping our pulse on what's happening front and center with the debt market is very important. And then also, we know that the metals is looking pretty good. And at this current moment, it looks like Dave Hunter's Meltup Theory might be in play, because he came out earlier, talked about, he anticipate 40,000 down and 6,000 this and that, whatever. So according to Dave Hunter, the Meltup Theory is in play. So he's basically saying that we can experience a boom that surprises a lot of people. At the same time, the overall consensus in the financial realm is that things are slowing down and it's about to crash. But yet it's a setup for something even worse. We all know what that is. Anyway, let's talk. You open the phone lines and let's get some thoughts shared. Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Hey, Mike, this is Mark from Tennessee.
Mark from Tennessee. What's going on, my friend? What's on your mind? Give me a quick thought.
Hey, on that CBDC deal.
Yeah.
So it's a project out there called eCash, and it's a fork of Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And the creator of eCash today just had a interview where they're saying that the CBDC has using all of their information. So when you get a chance, check into that.
Definitely, will do.
And eCash is a project that holds 21 trillion, and what they have done is move the decimals to a 2 decimal instead of an 8 decimal.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just came out with it. I think it was last year before last, but it's a second part of Bitcoin. So
yeah,
a lot of people don't know about it because it's a sitting giant.
Okay, good deal. I want to say I think I've heard of eCash. If I'm not mistaken, they've deployed their chain on the Cosmos blockchain, haven't they?
No. They actually have a second, their own chain. Actually, it's a fork.
Okay.
Of Bitcoin Cash, which is Bitcoin ABC.
Okay.
And Yeah, just check it out. It's a lot of information out there about it.
Yeah.
And it goes back into the 80s where they was actually creating it. I don't know, is this the same eCash, but the everything sound the same from back then up until now.
Okay, I'll check it out. And I want to say there's definitely more than one eCash out there, but because
so look at it's eCash XCC is the symbol.
Yeah. Okay,
because Ethereum and there's a couple of projects on Ethereum is named eCash.
Yeah.
And so dealing with the transactions, they're supposed to blend in with Avalanche for the transactions to be 5 million transactions per second.
Okay, good deal. So I got something up here.
I got a code, so
no problem. So I got some on the screen now talking about it. So it says Bitcoin Cash ABC rebrands to eCash, embraces proof of stake and 2 decimal places. So I'll definitely dive into it more, but this is going to be one of many.
Don't sleep on that project.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't sleep on that project because the developments from Bitcoin have actually came, some of the developments from the Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash have moved to that project.
All right, my man. Well, I appreciate you calling and sharing that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Be good. Yeah. Definitely something worth checking out. Like always, that's one of the 17,000 total projects out there. So we got a lot to pick from, on which majority of them will fail. Some will succeed. We'll see. But I'll let you guys, determine what works best. But thank you for sharing that. All right, let's keep it moving. Feel free to give me a call and let's talk. Forks belong on a dinner plate. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I actually, what was it? I think last week. I just randomly typed in Bitcoin on one of the exchanges to see how many forks of the original BTC code there has been, and there's probably a dozen that I think was just available on that, of which only 3 or 4 actually matter, that actually have market cap. But it's just amazing how anybody with some tech savviness to themselves can fork something and call it a project and run with it. And if you get a community run with it, sure, I'm sure it'll work, but those are the most dangerous ones. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mike, what's going on, man? It's Caleb. Chicago.
What's going on, man? Talk to me.
Not much, man. Not much. Mike, man. So you hear Michael Buffer, man, on the microphone, right? You hear Michael Buffer on the microphone? Let's get ready to rumble, right?
Oh yeah. Okay.
That's it, man. Hey, El Salvador was a shot heard around the world, but this is the war bell. That was it. That's it, Mike. I mean, now we just after domino, El Salvador hit it, and that's it, man. I mean, I got so many theories on this, Mike, and I want to know what you think about it. But my 2 theories, this is it.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it roughly the other day.
Yeah.
It kind of happened. We see having this stuff is happening every day. But Russia is late. America's early. We were early. We think about that. We got the coins. Because think about it. They were able to obtain coins without telling anybody, which would have boosted the price. That's it. I mean, we owe the dollar. If people knew that we had the coins at any point in time, or would have coins in our possession, that was it. So we announced that, and Russia says, "Oh, okay, I get it. All right, period. Let's play Russian roulette."
So watch this. So with the U.S. now having coins, so you're making that statement as if the coins that they allegedly recovered, they're going to keep as their own possession and use it as their own reserves to counter whatever comes their way, as if they're going to actually implement, as if the Federal Reserve one day going to come out and say they're going to add, Bitcoin to their balance sheet.
I guarantee it. I mean, I don't say I guarantee it, but Mike, I'm 90% sure at this point, because now they have to. They would not have to if nobody else. Everybody was still lollygagging, but when Russia did that, I think Russia had a feeling. But Russia was already Bitcoin mining. They already doing mining. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They already had the ETF. They already had the ETF, but today they announced they're doing mining now too. So they announced they're doing mining after both these things, after the U.S. said they got some coins. But you see, with nation state game theory, it was either this. Either A, adopts, B, doesn't adopt. A gets rich, B gets poor, all right, or vice versa. Or A and B adopt, and they have to give up their monopoly money.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's it. So Russia's going to charge in oil. We got money. We're going to charge for Bitcoin and oil. We got the third wallet. We win. Everybody else have to jump in. boosting the price out of Bitcoin.
Hey,
it's over.
If you say so, I'll ride with that, man. Appreciate you calling.
What you think, Mike? What you think?
Huh?
No,
it's possible. I just, I'm leery of the fact that all of a sudden now they recover those coins that no doubt they probably been had them. They just letting us know now, obviously, because they want to counter Russia's move. But at the end of the day, as of right now, until the world recognizes and accepts Bitcoin in particular as the next standard, that to be able to set prices by that metric there, until oil set in it, all energy set in it, and you price everything in it, then it's still one of those things where it's going to be a tug of war back and forth. But yeah, as of now, it's all denominated in Federal Reserve note terms. So the U.S. still has that one up. So it could benefit them, but they got more problems to worry about than trying to pump their own bags, because hell, they make the currencies that the bags are pumped in. So I think they're trying to not lose control of the sinking ship, because if the ship sinks, they can't revitalize this thing and still have confidence and faith of the people without losing everything altogether. So hopefully they do lose control. The sink ships, not many lives are lost, and the people are able to rebuild and have options of using whatever the hell they want to use without being forced to use the CBDC. Long as the CBDC don't win, I'm good for whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's just my take.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, man.
I got, Mike.
All right.
The game ain't cold. Game is cold, man. But it's fair. They got the coins. They been had it. Game is cold, but it's fair.
Hey, we'll see, man. Appreciate you, man.
All right, Mike.
Be good. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, so more nations run into it. We'll see what happens. But until it's declared a standard that the world accepts, it's all just back and forth. He say, she say. I think they all plan us. To be honest with you, because I would rather personally reestablish confidence on something real that you can feel, you know what I'm talking about, than even play in this software world where they want to take us anyway. But anyway, we'll see. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mike, Tony from Oakland. How you doing, brother?
TB, doing good, man. What's on your mind?
One more again?
Yes, sir.
I don't know. I don't know how we get back on this whole Bitcoin thing. I mean, your channel is a great channel, but somehow we always steer back to it. Maybe we need to stay focused on what you put out there as context. With the Russia thing, Russia is not calling it money. They're just calling it currency, something that they can track, get a hold of, and smack down, just like China did. There's going to be no different. Russia and China are joined at the hip. When China smacked it down, they moved somewhere else. And we got to look at Bitcoin for what it is. It's a piracy. I mean, there's no one saying that no one but your Michael Saylors and your guys that are trying to get other people in it about how good it is. But everybody said that about everything. Everybody said that about gold and silver. But look where it's at, you know. And we need to just take a step back. And it's not all about the CBDC, because I don't think that can happen. Personal opinion. I don't think that can happen because you're taking over the banks when you do that, and the federal government can't even regulate its own money, let alone bring in some other kind of money.
So that's a lot right there in and of itself. So I imagine the banks will be, we've already witnessed the dwindling down of the banking structure from 30,000-40,000 when the Federal Reserve first started to now we got 8 globally systemic banks, of which I think they will be willing to sacrifice those, because all it takes is 1 or 2 or 3. And of course, the biggest one out of all of them happened to be JP Morgan because of their silver stash. So I think they all in it to win it for themselves. So sacrificing some banks in hopes of furthering their control with a single point of failure, i.e. their only unit of distraction with a CBDC, I think is more than possible, just because when this thing completely comes to a halt, however it happens, everything tanks, confidence is lost. They are going to be in a position where the government, if it's still steady, will then give them the authority to issue whatever, whether the Treasury do it or whatever. That's going to be their version of a savior, this new method of currency. And I think they're deliberately stalling, letting the air seep out of the asset bubbles so that if it does collapse, they can come in with their suggestion. And based on the fact that all bank accounts will be wiped out, all retirement portfolios will be wiped out, there'll be more than enough people willing to accept that solution that they're going to give us. So I don't want that to happen, but I think that's a possibility.
No, I think they're stuck on stupid, and we're giving them too much credit.
Okay.
Because we wouldn't be 30 trillion, and they wouldn't know that that 30 trillion was there.
Yeah.
And that it's going to be defaulted. Everybody knows it's going to be defaulted on.
Right.
And they knew it when it was the first dollar printed.
Right.
This is how all currency ends.
Right. Watch this. On the screen right here, I got the changing forms of America's currency from 1850 onward. And slowly by surely, coinage act by coinage act, executive order by executive order, recession by recession, they've always found a way to remove actual real tangible property from our hands, from gold and silver to replace it with certificates, to giving just nothing but certificates. And they about to remove the certificates now and solely have these digital ledgers. So I mean, this is
Mike,
in the making for
you started out at the right point.
Go ahead.
This whole thing is 30 trillion of fake.
Mm-hmm. Right, no doubt.
We have to get back to what? Sound money.
That would be the best option, but yet, do you think they're going to? Do you think they don't want that?
Only option.
It's the only option, true. But then again, they don't want that. And if they are in control still, I believe it's more likely that they'll get their way, or the people will stand up and push back, and we'll have another, one of them, disagreements with our government type of thing, like we had, several times before, i.e., Civil War, revolution type of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
No, they kick and scream just like we kick and scream. But here's the one thing that the government cannot regulate is people's opinion and whether people get upset or people happy about the decisions that they make. They can't regulate that. And if you get enough people upset, then they change their mind. Oh, we ain't going with the IRS eye scanner thing.
Right.
We ain't going with that anymore. We was just throwing that trouble. Oh, we not going with the CBD. And the IMF comes out, and IMF. Oh, we need a CBDC, and then 2 months later, we don't know what they're thinking. They're just testing us.
Yeah.
And as soon as we come to the realization that they're testing us, and we need to just say no. Let's get back to sound money.
Hey, I'm about that, TB. You lead the charge. I'm right behind you, boss.
Oh, I'm leading, man. I'm just doing it on your show. At these
I appreciate you, man.
Get out of your stand. I love them, man. They making their money. I ain't gonna be mad at them.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling in.
Man, have a good one.
Yeah.
Later.
Lead the way. There. Okay, let's keep it moving. Here's something that says, Mike, do you buy precious metal before the CPI number comes out tomorrow? Do I buy? No, but see, me personally, I take whatever spare crumbs I have, and I don't. And so this is where I like to be very picky with my words. I don't buy precious metals. I've never bought precious metals because that, to me, represents a narrative that plays into their favor. I just say, when I get a couple extra Federal Reserve notes, I redeem these notes by taking them somewhere and exchanging them for money. So, yes, I probably will. To answer your question. But you don't buy precious metals. You redeem fiat currencies for metals. That's what fiat was initially intended for, to be redeemable. And I think if more people realize that, saw it that way, use it that way, they wouldn't be so gung-ho on utilizing fiat debt instruments and even calling it money. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how serious things are getting right now, in my opinion. But of course, I know you're joking, so I probably will. Hello, caller. Where you calling from? One second, LBP. Hold on one second. Put you on speakerphone. LBP, what's going on, man?
Hey, everything's great. I just want to expand a little bit about what CBO County was talking about.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's talking about the people making choices. There's going to come a point where people who own a business are not going to accept, this whole crypto or U.S. dollars, or people who trade their labor for a means of exchange. They're going to say, you know what, I don't want that anymore.
Right.
And like he's saying, they're not going to be able to control that.
Right. Right. And then also when it comes to, so just on a CB note, somebody just mentioned the CBDC and how it's going to be something people use because of the narrative of the virus, it being a contaminant and stuff like that. But also, majority of transactions right now take place in a cashless manner with tapping in your phone, swiping in your card. So, it's already, they'll probably throw you a statistic saying that, 55% of the population don't use cash already. So we're heading towards a cash-less use society. So it just only plays natural that CBDCs is the next evolution of currency. So that's a part of the narrative that I also read. So for whatever that's worth.
Also, Mike, they can't even there's people going to grocery stores and touching all the tomatoes and taking them home. They can't even get this virus thing together. So how are they going to tell us how to what to buy and what to sell.
Very, very true. But you know they're gonna try it. They can't give up. They got a job to do. They committed to, Klaus Schwab's. They pledged allegiance to Klaus Schwab and crew to try to destroy it so they can build it back better in accordance to how they want to. So, that whole fourth industrial revolution is underway and all that garbage. So, yeah, they're not gonna quit.
Yeah, they're losing control, Mike. We're gonna win in the end.
Hey, I'm with that, man. I'm for that. I get.
All
I
right,
get in
Mike.
agreement with that.
Wait up. I'll talk to you later.
Peace. Yeah, let's keep it moving, people. Let me see here. What does this says? That's true. My bid work in silver ounces. All right, I saw another. It says, what's the big deal about having metals and crypto? Some people just want to cover all bases. Simple as that. Jay, very true. And I'm all for that. As I always mention, like my 3 S's, currency, money, however you look at it, it's only good for 3 things: saving, spending, and speculating. Saving, I don't save it much in actual fiat currency because I save in metals. Speculate, I love speculating and stuff like this because to me, I'm a techie at heart. So this stuff right here intrigues me, really. And then on the spending side, you got to have some as emergency fund for rainy days and everything in between and pay your bills. So that's all it's for. It's just a tool. It's just a tool. And there's ways of benefiting on this transition as far as being ahead of the curve and getting with some projects that will probably be chosen actually to further run, the financial sector in the future. So I'm all for that. And be honest with you, this is the number one crypto because it's the original, it's the OG. But I'm more of a fan of Litecoin just because of the actual use case for it, for faster transactions and with the inclusion of Mimblewimble offering a smidget of privacy to it. I'm good with that one. So I think Litecoin will be utilized more than Bitcoin in the end. That's just my 2 cents. Let's keep it moving. What else we got here? Forgive me, I missed some calls. Let me see. What your work says already too late. You can't buy a house and go try it. As time moves forward, I think there will be more people who are in tune with what's going on. They'll be willing to settle a transaction in physical metals. Now it's a matter of, how can you trust if it's real or not, yada, yada, yada. But I do think that there will be. So think about this. We're going to have a 2-tier society for sure. We're going to have the digital economy that's being created on our behalf. Then we're going to have a real tangible, the real fungible tokens, the non-fungible world and the real fungible world of transactions. And I really do see people getting back to using barter for anything as a way of getting their necessities met. So, like, for example, like I have, a stack of copper. I keep my copper, just on some. My copper is just this copper, even though it's, not worth much to me. This copper right here is of value because of what it can be used for, and it's a medium of exchange. So I have no problem transacting in this copper coin here, which is probably like 75 cents right now. But when stuff hits the fan, this stack of copper right here can actually get some things done. So there will be a use case for this copper at some point. So that's that amongst anything else that you can use. And of course, you can't forget your, constitutional coins right here. So those are all the options we're going to have on the table to use. And I imagine people will extend their hand and accept it. Hello, Carlos. Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Mike, Steve, People Region 9.
Steve, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, Mike, all I want to know is when is everybody going to, at some point, step back, look at the back of their money that has satanic symbols on it, and go, there's something going on here that we should probably take a look at. It seems like even our community that we're dealing with here. I hear people calling in and all the rest of that, and everybody talking about, well, they can't do that, they can't do this because of that. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, Satan runs and rules this world.
Correct.
That's what the Bible says.
Correct.
Runs and rules this world. Satan stepped to Jesus and offered him the kingdoms of the world. Stepped to Jesus.
Right.
He stepped to the big J and offered him the kingdoms of the world.
Yeah.
And Jesus did not refute that he could do that.
Right.
Because Jesus knew that that Satan had the authority to do that.
Right.
Jesus was smart enough to basically tell him. Jesus was smart enough to tell him go kick rocks.
Right.
He basically Jesus runs things, and I just see that I just kind of see that getting overlooked here with everybody's opinion.
Yeah.
And I include mine.
Right.
In that.
And I'm saying, like, we're just kicking ideas off each other, trying to make sense of things, putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Like, nobody's right, nobody's wrong, and that's the benefit of having the ability to speak freely. That's how we learn. I learn from talking to smarter people than myself. So I appreciate you guys for dropping it on me.
Hey, correct. Hey, so I'll come back to the end of your show yesterday where you talked about some flight from South Africa that tried to go down to the Antarctica area and was stopped, etc. Mike, we all know that has to be whatever is down there has to be way beyond resources,
right?
I.e., oil, food, gold, whatever's down there,
right?
Has to be way beyond that,
right?
For all of this stuff to be taking place. I sent you an email right before the show started. There, did you get that?
Let me check it real quick. But go ahead.
That empire beneath the ice or whatever there.
I'm looking right now, but go ahead. Empire beneath the ice. Yep. Okay. Let me open this up real quick.
Okay, you got it there.
Yeah.
Okay, you got it there. Anyway, number one is in your care package. That book is on there. That's on that attachment there.
Yeah.
That Steve Bell book, Empire Beneath the Ice, is in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, also respond back to that. Also respond back to the email so I can get this stuff shipped out to you.
Okay, I will as soon as I hang up.
But that being said, people need to look at Admiral Byrd's diary, etc.
Yeah.
He talks about his encounters down there with
yeah, very true.
With those things. What Admiral Byrd said was he ran into quote unquote the master of the universe. That's what they called him, which interpreted to Lucifer. There's something down there other than resources.
Right.
The world leaders would not be going down there for all of that, and they wouldn't be having all of this elaborate security around this mess. If something special wasn't down there.
Right. 100%. And that's the thing, like,
but anyway,
hopefully we find out. I would love to find out, like, right now in this world, in this life, just because I think it'll be eye-opening and it'll help release the truth in general as to what the history books was, actually what was taken out of the history books that we have no clue about. Because the older I get, the more I realize that, I've been lied to since day one. Even my mom and daddy lied to me. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know no better, but they only passed on what they learned, which was a damn lie too. So
yeah, I think it's hard for people, and even I can admit myself that it's hard for people to actually acknowledge that thing is out there doing these things,
right?
And that he's real,
right.
And it's hard for people to accept that. Portals and all the rest of this mess, UFOs, people being abducted,
right?
These things are out there, but
right.
They're of that thing.
100%.
So hopefully we can get everything clear in the future. Love everybody. God bless.
Appreciate you, man.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Will do, man.
All right, hey, shoot me that email.
I will. So as soon as we get done live, I'll shoot you the email. Appreciate you, man.
All right, then, bro.
Yep. All righty. All right. So we're approaching our 40-minute mark. Appreciate everybody. Missing some calls, but just dialing back. But anyway, for those that are joining in, we touched on a lot of things today, primarily focusing on just sharing thoughts and ideas based upon what's happening in Russia. The IRS's new suggestion on needing more of your information, and Apple iPhone lovers get a chance to tap their phone, and CBDCs, they're probably behind the 8 ball and having those things ready before the ship sinks. So something worthwhile. And then also in Brazil, it's a great warning as to how bad things will get as rates go up. So just something worth keeping an eye on. But anyway, that being the case, people, that's all she wrote for today. As always, it's good to connect with you guys. Be blessed, be safe, enjoy the rest of your day. Stay prayed up, stack up, get your calories up, get your weight up, get your ammo up, and just enjoy life while you still got it. Be blessed. Peace.